moving toward its goal.
They're training them
Her first step will be to establish a method for attacking the problem. She wants the group to work together and move forward in an organized way. This requires a plan for proceeding.
And before we're done here today, we need to arrive at a list of specific suggestions. But first, I'd like to hear from you about what you see to be critical issues and the potential solution. Let's get a number of ideas out on the table, and later we'll discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each in detail. And then we'll see what kind of consensus we reach concerning the best approach.
Sometimes it's difficult to start participation. Here are a few proven techniques. State your need.
This is a potentially serious problem. Now, if our reputation is damaged or we lose established customers, the road back will be very difficult.
Yeah, and if we lose those customers, we don't get them back. And it's a limited customer base we're working with.
So much for growth. One thing that we do have are some very loyal customers. I don't think we want to jeopardize that or test it too far. Right. What I'm trying to say is that we're probably still okay, but we don't want to push our luck.
Right. Ask for help.
Frankly, we don't have a plan that will solve the problem right now, and I don't know exactly which way to turn. I need your help.
Call on someone with expertise, or someone who's encountered a similar problem before.
Well, Jim, you were here when the merger took place. How did we handle the added accounts then?
Well, we had a little more lead time, for one thing. We were able to get people ready. Some of their people came over. In fact, their people carried the ball for the first 6 months.
Compliment an individual.
Charlie, you seem to be doing an excellent job of keeping things together. What have you been doing?
Pick up on previous information.
Karen, yesterday we were talking about how TMI ran its in-house service program. What have you found out about that?
Well, as it turns out, they had both in-house people and a group of consultants that worked on an hourly basis. But I got the feeling that the consultants were really the source of their problem. They weren't completely reliable, and they didn't coordinate well with the rest of the office. They were doing modifications without fully documenting them.
When discussion is just beginning, it's usually most productive to listen to all comments supportively, without reformulating them or insisting on too many details. Let the group decide how to use or not use contributions of other members. Let discussion roll along freely to encourage participation by all members. Kim now has a meeting with a purpose, a direction, and active participants. Her job now is to guide and unify. In the process, she may be required to play many different roles. Initiating, suggesting new ideas, presenting problems, stating activities for the group.
Well, it seems to me that you're indicating that there are some types of service that are elective and that can be deferred without any risk to the equipment. Maybe we ought to talk about some ways we could present this to the customer.
Well, I think we're going to have to really prioritize.
Prioritize how?
Every service call, our representatives make 2 lists. One of the things that have to be done now and one of the things that can wait. Then we set 2 appointments.
What causes us the most trouble is when we don't meet commitments. With the elective types of things, appointments can be set pretty far out. But we have to be darn sure to deliver when we do
if anything
promise.
threatens to shut these people down, we have to be there right now. If we can't fix it, they'll call anybody they have to get it done.
Absolutely. We can't let our emergency service slip in any way. That has to be the first priority.
I'm not even sure we can keep even that up at this point.
Orienting, keeping participants on track, reminding them of the purpose of the meeting and of their roles.
Well, we need to come away from this meeting today with some specific suggestions for reducing the service backlog. Todd, you're the frontline person in scheduling service calls, so we're going to need all your expertise as we discuss solutions.
We have a limited number of people. There are only a limited number of hours in the day. Now, I think we have to be realistic. We can't assume we're going to get this done just by speeding things up.
No, I agree, and we definitely intend to give you help. Now, I assure you, everyone is prepared to commit resources. We're just trying to figure out how best to do it.
Clarifying, making sure that everything said and done in the meeting is understood by all the participants.
So, Todd, you're suggesting that we could approach the TMI people and see if they can make people or resources available to us.
I think it's something we at least ought to explore. If they have people available to help, we ought to use them.
It's not going to inspire much confidence when we go in there and tell them we can't handle the job.
Well, we'll want to try and not sound desperate.
Well, I think we can do the job. The way we'll get into trouble is if we let this thing get out of hand. Now, if we set up a realistic timetable and stick to it, I think we'll be all right.
Informing, providing group members with the facts and information they need to make decisions.
Our relationship with TMI is good. Now, at the time we took over, their backlog was up to 3.5 weeks. So, their customers have seen an improvement since we took over.
Well, I like to point out that, at least to me, with something of an outsider's point of view, it looks like we may have overleaped ourselves here. I mean, you're acting like you should have been able to merge these accounts instantaneously, and I'm not sure that's a reasonable goal. I mean, just steady progress may seem pretty good to TMI.
I think we probably have placed higher expectations on ourselves than TMI did.
Kim, what do you know about this? Did the contract specify anything about deadlines for service calls?
Well, it's not anything that's specified in the contract per se. I'm not sure what understandings there were. I'll have to ask.
Integrating, assembling all facts and ideas so that a coordinated plan can be developed.
Well, Todd pointed out that almost all the complaints are coming from continuing customers, rather than the new TMI customers. Maybe that fits well with Janice's suggestion for scheduling special off-hour appointments. Now, could we design a special service call for TMI people that was scheduled off hours? A get acquainted visit or something like that.
I don't see why not. We schedule something off hours, we take care of essentials, and get a good rundown on what their long-run requirements will be. I would think it would be pretty well received.
At least it would give us a better idea of what our situation is in the long run. We don't have a handle on that either.
Test possible solutions.
Well, one suggestion was that we go to voluntary overtime. Now, will people volunteer?
We'll get some. Yeah, in fact, I think most of the service people are as eager as we are to see
Yeah,
this
but I
thing
guarantee
clear.
you it's no fun working with tired employees all the time.
Well, we want to make sure we don't overload people and burn them out.
Right.
Well, we have to set a clear timetable and assure people that it's temporary.
We'll be asking some of our customers to come in during hours when they're usually closed. How do you think they'll react?
Well, we'll be able to offer quicker appointments to the people who can schedule during off hours. We can offer them a choice, even. I don't think it'll be a problem. A good number of our customers will be just as happy with off-hour appointments. Some will even prefer it.
Karen, what kinds of shift arrangement would you recommend?
Well, I think we're going to have two categories of overtime here. Some companies are going to prefer early morning appointments, and some are going to prefer evening appointments. I don't have any idea of how much of each, though.
And there are weekends, too.
Yeah, though I don't think we'll be able to schedule a lot of weekend work.
There'll be some, not a lot. Well, I don't know. There might be more than we think.
Well, I think for the most part, we can schedule this as additional hours, either at the beginning or the end of a shift. I don't see a problem. What do you think, Jim?
I can make a guess, but we'll just have to wait and see.
The leader of a meeting has the responsibility to maintain control. Common problems? People who talk too much, people who can't stick to the purpose, and people who want to continually go over the same material. Let's watch Kim handle someone who is threatening to dominate the meeting.
I still don't understand why this had to happen in the first place. Somebody should have known this was going to happen, and there should have been more planning. We should have started the training
Jim.
class 6 months ago when
Jim,
we first
excuse
started.
me for interrupting. Now, I know that we've all found this very frustrating, and it's been especially difficult for you. But the key point now is to come up with a plan to get this backlog down again. Now, our time is limited, and we do need to hear from everybody.
Usually, an overly talkative participant will respond to tactful interruption. If not, the leader may have to be more assertive. Remember, you never want to offend anyone unnecessarily, but you also have an obligation to everyone else at the meeting. Allowing one person to stall your meeting or throw it off track is inconsiderate to every other participant. You can use your statement of purpose to help you keep participants on the topic. When they stray, remind them of the purpose. A well-designed agenda can also be invaluable. Move through agenda items one at a time, in sequence. Insist that any other items introduced be taken up at the end of the meeting, if there is time. Sometimes a meeting will seem to hang up on one minor point and travel in circles. A short summary can often break the circle and get the meeting back on track.
What about this segregating accounts, though? It seems to me we're going to get some very dissatisfied customers. And I think it's going to be confusing to the service reps, too.
Well, Todd has already explained to us that the TMI customers are satisfied that their situation is improving. And we've agreed that any preferential treatment of our own accounts can't be allowed to persist for more than 6 months. Now, it's time to move on to determining how we can be sure that it won't.